Meghan Markle has a half-sister named Samantha Markle. Samantha is writing a new book about her life. The book has a very funny and interesting name. It is called The Diary of Princess Pushy's Sister. People have been waiting for this book for a long time. Samantha says she is telling the truth, but some people think she is just sharing her own opinions. There is a lot of drama between the two sisters. For a long time, people have been whispering a secret about Meghan Markle. Even the people who knew her before she was famous are starting to wonder if she is telling the truth. They look at her family and her old life and say the math does not add up. If you look her up on the internet, it says she was born on August 4, 1981. That would mean she is 44 years old. It looks like a simple fact. But when you look at her old photos and talk to her old classmates, that number starts to look wrong. This story goes much deeper than most people think. If you type Meghan's name into Google, you see exactly what you expect. It shows pretty pictures and calm music. Then it says she was born in 1981 and is 44 years old today. Most people just believe what they see and move on. They don't think about it twice, but some people are not moving on. They are looking at the small details and they think they found something very strange. The official story of Meghan's life sounds like a movie. It says she was born in 1981, grew up in Los Angeles and finished high school in 1999. Then she went to a big college called Northwestern and became a famous actress on a show called Suits. Finally, she married a prince and the whole world watched. It is a very clean and perfect story. Most people don't ask questions when a story is that perfect, but real people from her past are starting to tell a different story. People who follow the royal family have been asking questions for a long time. Even reporters and her own family members say that some parts of her life story don't fit together. Her own family was there from the very beginning. They say the dates and the timeline do not connect the way they are supposed to. Some people look at the official records and just shake their heads because they remember things differently. Some people think there is a big gap in the story. They say Meghan might be several years older than she says she is. This sounds like a wild idea. Why would anyone lie about their age? It feels like a big movie drama. But then you look at old magazines, college photos, and stories from her classmates. When you see those things, it doesn't feel like drama anymore. It feels like a question that needs a real answer. It is not just one mistake. It is a pattern of many things that don't match. Today is Meghan's birthday, so it is the perfect time to talk about this. We aren't trying to be mean or hurt anyone's feelings. We are just looking at the facts because the more you look, the more questions you find. Her age might be exactly what she says, or it might be a part of a very carefully made story. You should see all the facts so you can decide for yourself. Once you see the old photos, you might never look at her age the same way again. The official story of Meghan Markle's life is very clear. It says she was born in Los Angeles in 1981 and went to a private school called Immaculate Heart. It says she graduated in 1999 and then went to college to study acting. After that, she worked hard to become a star. Eventually, she got a big job on a TV show. Then she met Prince Harry and her life changed forever. Everything seems to line up perfectly if you just look at the surface. Sometimes, when a story looks too perfect, it might not be completely true. People who were actually there are starting to check the details. Old friends and people she worked with are doing the math themselves. When they add up the years, they get a very different answer than the one on the internet. Instead of 1981, some people think she was born in 1976 or 1977. Even her dad, Thomas Markle, has said things that make the story look very strange. A 6-year difference is a very big deal. It is not just a small mistake. If she was born in 1975 or 1976, her whole life would be different. She wouldn't have been a teenager in the 1990s. She would have been a grown adult. She wouldn't have been a young student starting college. She would have been a woman who already knew what she wanted to do. All of those old photos of her would need a totally new explanation. This isn't just people on the internet being silly. They are pointing at real photos and real events. They look at the people Meghan was with and the things she was doing. They say those things don't match the age she was supposed to be. It is not something you can just ignore. There is a pattern of things that don't line up. The official story says everything was perfect, but the people who were there say the years are off. It feels like the story was put together on purpose. One person has talked about this more than anyone else. That person is Samantha Markle, Meghan's older half-sister. Samantha is not afraid to speak her mind. She has given many interviews and written books. Many people don't like her, but she has one thing others don't. She was actually there. She grew up in the same house and remembers the family's secrets from the inside. She says the public story is not the same as the life they actually lived. Samantha's main point is simple. She says the dates and the ways things are described just don't match her own memories. She has been saying this for a long time. In 2025, she made some very big statements that caught everyone's attention. Reporters and experts started listening because Samantha points out things that no one else thought to look at. However, Samantha once said there is a 17-year age gap between them. If that is true, it actually means 1981 might be the right year. This makes the whole mystery even more confusing. Samantha knows things because she was part of the family. She watched Meghan grow up long before she was famous. When Samantha says something is wrong, she is using her own memories. She isn't the only one either. Other reporters and old friends from Los Angeles have asked the same questions. They don't all have the same answer, but they all feel like the official story is a bit different from the real one. Now let's look at some real proof. There is a magazine called 17 from March 1997. In that magazine, there is a girl from Los Angeles who looks like Meghan. It says she is 21 years old. If she was 21 in 1997, that means she was born in 1975 or 1976, not 1981. That is a big difference. It is hard to say that was just a typo. If that magazine is right, the official story about her age is wrong. There is another piece of proof from a college club. It is a photo of a salsa dancing club from the early 2000s. It looks like a normal school photo. But when people looked closer at the other students in the photo, they noticed something weird. Most of those people are now in their 50s. If Meghan was a young 18-year-old student, why was she hanging out with people who were 10 years older? It doesn't really make sense. Usually, teenagers hang out with other teenagers. They don't usually spend all their time with people who are much older. If Meghan was born in 1981, she would have been a very young freshman. But if she was born in 1975, she would be the same age as everyone else in that photo. She would fit right in. That would explain why she was in that group. Without that explanation, the photo looks very strange and hard to understand. It is hard to keep track because people can't agree on one date. Some say she was born in 1977 and some say 1975. You might think this means the whole thing is fake. If they don't know the real date, why believe them? But there is another way to look at it. Even if they don't agree on the exact year, they all agree that she is older than she says. They all point to the mid-1970s. That is a very strong pattern. If Meghan was born in 1975, she would be almost 50 years old right now. That is a very different life than being 44. It would change everything we know about her school years and her time in Hollywood. The salsa club photo would finally make sense. She wouldn't be the odd one out anymore. But if we stick to the 1981 date, we have to keep trying to explain away the magazines and the photos. The story almost works, but not quite. We don't have a clear answer yet. No one has shown a real birth certificate that proves everything. Instead, we just have a lot of questions hanging over her birthday. A lot of people are celebrating her today, but some people are still wondering if the number on her cake is wrong. Meghan has always been a person with a complicated story. Every part of her life seems to have a version that was made just for the public. Why would someone lie about their age? The answer is simple: Hollywood. In the acting world, being young is very important. If a director thinks you're too old, they won't give you the job. This is a secret that many actors have. They change their birth year by a few years so they can keep working. If Meghan was born in 1975, she would have been in her 30s while trying to get famous. That is a very hard age for an actress. The show Suits was her big break. It gave her a steady job and made her famous. If she had told them she was older, she might not have gotten the part. When she met Prince Harry, the whole world started calling it a fairy tale. People were so excited about the wedding that they didn't check the old records. The story was so big that the small details about her past were forgotten. That was the perfect time to let the old questions go away. How does a national magazine get an age wrong by 6 years? It seems very unlikely. There are other weird things too. Look at the birth record for her son Archie. At first, it had her real name on it, but then the name was changed to her royal title. The palace said they did it to be consistent, but no other royal mom had her name removed like that. It is a small thing, but it makes people wonder what else has been changed. Old photos of Meghan always seem to show up at the perfect time. Just when she needs people to think a certain way, a new old photo appears. It doesn't feel like a coincidence. It feels like a plan to control what people remember about her. There are school photos and childhood pictures that only come out when they are useful. It looks like a system to manage her public image. Today is her birthday and the official story says she is 44, but the questions are still there. What is the real story? The most interesting part is not the number itself, but the way all these little clues keep showing up. They show up in magazines, school photos, and stories from her family. You would have to believe that everyone else is wrong for the official story to be 100% true. For the 1981 date to be right, a lot of other things have to be wrong. The magazines would have to be mistakes. The classmates would have to be lying. The photos would have to be weird accidents. When you add all those things together, it is very hard to say it is all just a coincidence. However, no one has found a smoking gun or a final paper that proves the truth. We are left with a lot of memories and old pictures. So we don't have a final answer. The mystery stays open. Meghan Markle is a very famous person, but her story is not a simple one. She has always been very careful about how the world sees her. Whether she was born in 1981 or 1975, people will continue to talk about it. You have heard the facts and seen the photos. Now you get to decide what you believe. Is it a true story or is it a very pretty fairy tale?